The regularly scheduled public meeting of December 4th, 2017 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and the Township website. Again, if there are any disability requirements, please notify the clerk prior to coming, and the exits are on your left and your right. Please stand to salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Calamari?
Here.
Councilman Casio?
Here.
Councilman Seer?
Here.
Councilman Oman? Council President Bruno?
Here. So tonight we'll have a reading of the list of bills, and then before we go into minutes and approvals and reports of the mayor and council, we have a recognition program tonight for MAD. So why don't we go, Sue, with the reading of the list of bills before we go to the presentation.
Following is a list of bills paid since the last bill list was submitted, representing November 9th, 2017 through November 30th, 2017. Total 2016 reserve, 0. Total 2017 current, $1,252,977.08. Total capital fund, $90.65. Total animal control, $4.80. And total trust fund, $608 even.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay. All right, so tonight we have, hope I get the names right, Mr. Stephen Benvenisti will be presenting DWI Safety Awards to Corporate Rydell and Patrol Officer Ferrarini.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd like to begin by congratulating Corporal Rydell and Police Officer Michael Ferrarini for being the recipient of Mothers Against Drunk Driving's most prestigious award. It's a national award that we give to law enforcement every single year. It's called the Law Enforcement Recognition Award. Now, you probably know Mothers Against Drunk Driving is the world's largest and leading organization, with its mission being to end the violent crime of drunk driving. But we still have 10,000 deaths every single year from drunk driving. But here's what you might not know. What you might not know is that we credit our success to the police officers. In fact, if you go into any MAD office in the country, if you go on our website, we'll tell you that our #1 value with regard to our campaign to eliminate drunk driving in this country is to support law enforcement. We actually call you our heroes. And can you think of a more appropriate term to describe what police officers do than heroes? If you stop and think about it, how many people can say in our own minds of law that we wake up every day and we go to work and our mission is to protect the public, but while we do it every day, we're putting our own lives at risk? If that's not a hero, there really isn't a definition for hero. And I can see by tonight, I can see that the community, I'm hopeful that the community really also joins me in congratulating these two very impressive law enforcement officers, recognizing that they save lives every single day with their heroic work. But you know, you hear so often when you talk about police officers, we talk about saving lives. And it's a very nice thing to say, and officers, I know you're very humble, but I just want to make a guarantee to you tonight. I guarantee you, not a doubt in my mind, and I've told you this before, the two of you have saved lives. How can I guarantee you about that? I've been a personal injury attorney partner at a law firm, Davis Saperstein and Solomon, for nearly 20 years, 10,000 cases. I see what police officers do every single year. I've been on the National Board of Directors. I'm the vice chairman of the board. Been that for 6 years. I've been on the New Jersey board for decades. I testify in Trenton. I study the data. I'm telling you, I guarantee you that you save lives. But just to analyze how powerful a statement that is, and forgive me, when I'm in court, you're never supposed to turn your back on the judge. And so perhaps, gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind coming up this way, I can accomplish respecting the mayor and council while at the same time presenting you this award. guarantee that they've saved lives, but because it's just one life that's been saved, there is a family in this community that has no idea that they're able to enjoy the holidays, enjoy dinner every single night, instead of otherwise dealing with the emotionally paralyzing loss of an immediate family member who's not at the dinner table, who's not at the holiday celebration, all because of an effective traffic stop and arrest that these gentlemen made. And because of just that one life that's been saved, and I guarantee that that's been done, that one individual can contribute to the community, can contribute to society, can start a family, they can contribute to society. It goes on for generations and generations and generations, and that's just from one life that you've saved. When you multiply that times the many lives that these two gentlemen have saved, your role in the community and in New Jersey and in society is just so powerful and so important. And as you know, because we've met before, the reason why I got involved in Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I always say, is because the most significant case of my entire career is about a student from Montvale, New Jersey, who went to Pasco Hills High School, who was on spring break with his fraternity brothers. He went to the College of New Jersey, and one night when he was out on spring break, a drunk driver crashed into him as a pedestrian. His parents were called in the middle of the night on Middletown Road in Montvale, New Jersey, and they were asked to consent to his organ donation because his legs were crushed and he was in a coma and it didn't look like he would wake up. There was no cure for severe brain damage then or today, and if he did live, he would not be able to function at any productive level. The parents declined to consent to organ donation and instead got a room in the hospital in Florida to be by their son's side, where he remained in a coma. The reason why this story brought me to Mothers Against Drunk Driving, brought me to this book that I met recently with producers in Hollywood who want to make a movie about it. Every single penny goes to Mothers Against Drunk Driving and other charities, is because the story of the most significant case of my entire career is actually the story of me before I became an attorney. This is my story. So, because of my recovery, I have the privilege of speaking at medical conventions a few times a year as a keynote speaker. Doctors want to know how it is that I got better. I use every single one of those keynote engagements to share with every doctor, every hospital administrator, that they never hear about a story like mine. They never read about some miraculous recovery in their medical journals. If not for the first heroes who were by their patient's side immediately after the event, doing what was necessary to be able to put them in medical hands. And it's because of you, and now you know, because of what I went through, why it is that I hold you in such a high regard, and why we at Mothers Against Drunk Driving call you our heroes. So, if I may first present you with the awards. First to Corporal Stephen Rydell, and one to Officer Michael Ferrarini. And here's what the award says. It's the 2016 Mothers Against Drunk Driving Law Enforcement Recognition Award. No, we're not late in giving it out. The data isn't compiled until the end of the year, and then we at Mothers Against Drunk Driving analyzed the arrest, and in 2017 were able to give the award. And these two heroes were previously awarded at a state award ceremony earlier in the year. And it says, in recognition for your meritorious service, life-saving actions, and proactive efforts in keeping our roads safe from drunk and impaired drivers, your diligence and your professionalism has saved and protected countless lives. So, Corporal, if I can give this to you as well. Please show the award. We're very, very proud of something else that we give out. And it has a law in it, NJSA 39:4-50. I know every officer knows what that is. I don't know if anyone in the public knows, but that's New Jersey's drunk driving law. And unfortunately, it's enforced too often, but I'd like to present you with these things that you can wear very proudly. Let's also present you the books. And at my own expense, when I get to present to thousands of high school students every single year, I've made a keychain, where I ask students and I ask their parents to pledge. It's the I Pledge keychain to never drink and drive. That's a fair pledge to make. And I brought one for everyone in this room. It's a keychain where you're pledging that if you're ever drinking, that you won't be driving. And I know that your son and daughter, they hear it in school regularly every single day, so I want to present you with the first two keychains. And for the rest of the public in the town, I will leave it here. And I also want to present you with the contract for life. This is the only legal one in the country. After what happened to me, I studied all the data, and I saw how so many families don't have agreements between the parent and the son or daughter about what to do if the son and daughter realizes that their only ride home is from someone who's been drinking. So this contract for life is an agreement where the son and daughter makes an agreement with their parent that if their only ride home is from someone who's been drinking, that they'll call their parent. The parent promises that they won't punish them. So we give you the first 2 awards. But I want to share with the town that you have 2 heroes, and they're humble heroes. You probably didn't hear about the award ceremony that they had earlier in the year, but we at Mothers Against Drunk Driving have so much respect, as all of you do, for these 2 gentlemen. And I just want to congratulate them on behalf of everyone in New Jersey, on behalf of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but most importantly, on behalf of the people who have no idea that they're alive today and able to enjoy their lives because of successful traffic arrests that these 2 heroes made. So thank you again. Can I leave this somewhere where it can be, can I leave it right here on the table?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can you, John, can you take one with the chief?
Yeah, can I actually go here? I can not just go over? Tomorrow, the paparazzi.
Cleared everybody out.
You don't want to phone
So much for
ruin photos. Who's that?
Thank you for giving us the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Campos. Thank you very much.
So gentlemen, congratulations, nicely done. And thank you for your efforts in keeping these people off the streets. Appreciated. Thank you so much.
I knew it was him first. Yeah. Testing, testing.
Make some of this other stuff. Puts it in perspective.
Okay, everyone left.
I'm trying to think of the judge.
Okay. So now we'll move to the approval of minutes from October 30th, 2017, closed session minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
That was with the correction also, so you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
I knew you made it.
Thank you. Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. We have the report of the mayor. I actually want to mention, I believe Mr. Ullman texted me, and I forgot to mention, I believe he's in Chicago with his wife on business, so that's why he's not here. Hopefully that was for tonight anyway, so, okay, moving on. Report of the mayor, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I would like to remind you about our annual tree and menorah lighting ceremony this Friday, December 8th at 5:30 at Finnerty Place, right near the library. Prior to the lighting, the library is having a Snow Person Festival with crafts, snacks, and music provided by Miss Fran. Please join us for this nice event. Wonderland of Trees at Van Zorn Park. Bergen County has a program in which they place a tree at Van Zorn Park for each town in Bergen County so that the town can come and decorate it and have, you know, their presence there. Our administrator, Dina Burke, and I are going to participate, but you can help us by providing ornaments or other decorations for the tree. such as maybe ornaments made by Scouts, Women's Club, Golden Seniors, and so on. Maybe somebody wants to do something that connects it with the Washington logo. And businesses are welcome to participate as long as it's not strictly an advertising thing. You know, it has to be something for the holidays. The deadline to submit your items is December 11 at 4 p.m. at the town hall. If you can't get here, you know, at 4 p.m., we're gonna have an area right in the vestibule here where you can leave your items, you know, anytime. Please include your name or number, name and number, so that we can contact you if we have to. I also like to announce that our recycling tonnage grant from the state of New Jersey, we are being awarded $20,584.50, which will actually go into the 2018 budget, and it's based on the monies from 2015 because the state works a little bit behind. Another grant that we are getting, it's official, a matching grant for Gardner Park basketball court, $13,500. Luke Oil. Notice that Luke Oil was notified to remove the diesel signs that they had put up on the building. They received a letter from us telling them they're in violation of the ordinance, and also that they have to contact the clerk's office for the necessary soil movement permits, which they did not do before they started all these little renovations. Planning Board. The board approved an addition to a house on Eastview Terrace. It also approved a landscaping house, a plan for 2 new houses on Washington Avenue near the Parkway South. The whole project over there with the 2 houses was not without issues and was very frustrating at times, but the homes are beautiful and they are in keeping with the residential character of this community. Leaf collection. Needless to say, all crews are presently engaged in ongoing leaf collection and are starting in zone, well, they did start zone 3 in December 1. However, we've adjusted the last day to put out your leaves. It's going to be December 10th. So it's not December 4. You can still put them out until December 10th. I also noticed, I want to thank you, that a lot of you have been putting your bigger branches in a barrel near your leaf piles. Thank you very much. It does make it a lot easier for the guys when they're working. Also, these branches have a damaging effect on our equipment, and I believe that one of the propellers that went was because the branches were too large. It kind of gets stuck in there. Department of Municipal Facilities. Our leaf pusher is finally here. We've been waiting for this for months and months and months. It's here, and the guys love it because it's an articulating leaf pusher, and it means that it's flexible. It just doesn't go straight. They could just go around and pick up more, and it works a lot faster. And it replaced one that was 25 years old. So they're very happy with that. Our salters are being installed, inspected, and given seasonal maintenance. Plow blades, spare parts, and hardware have been ordered. We also, at this point, have 100 tons of salt in our shed, but we're purchasing some more this week because in one storm we could use like 80 tons of it. Also, we recently, well, just going back till June, have been trying to get a new dump truck. But, you know, with all these things, with these vetting with the state contracts and things, it takes really long. So anyway, the good news is that it's coming, and the price was much lower than we originally thought. And it came to $41,338. And since we have doubled that in the capital for that item, we're ordering 2 of them. So we don't have to worry about going through the same thing next year to get the second one. Our staff is still working on fields such as leaf pickup. Field house at Clark and Memorial have been winterized, and sprinkler systems have been shut down. Also, we're still working on abandoned houses, and our mechanics stripped the vehicles that we are selling at county auction. And all the equipment things I talked about was a lot of work by our purchasing agent and our administrator. Engineering. Last month I talked to you about the plan we have for the police department drainage. It's an ongoing problem since the building was built. Although our preliminary estimate, this is the first time in a long time the estimate that we had was actually lower than the one that came in. And the one that came in was $51,000, so it was higher. but the council approved the contract for this project, and the administrator is working on getting it all done. Girl Scout projects, we still have some boxes in the hallway here. Troop 94343 is collecting items to bring to pediatric department at Valley, so that the children who have to stay there can be on the creative side. Eagle Scouts. Currently, we have 3 students, members of Troop 321, Derek Lim, Ethan O'Malley, and our newest one, James Stickle, working on Eagle projects. Recycling. We don't have the figures yet for November. I'll have them hopefully the next time we meet. Gas main replacement, Van Ember. I'm sure most of you have been through that area where it's blocked off, and they're still on target for December 12. Hopefully they'll get done. They've been working pretty late, sometimes to 6, 7 at night, but we want to get them done and out. Golden Seniors, they had some of their trips that they've had. They've been going to New York to see the Christmas show and things like that. And they had a Halloween party, gave away awards. And if anybody's interested, you can call Jim Joyce at 201-444-1778. New federal tax plan is another one of my concerns. I mentioned it last time. There appears to be a compromise of allowing us to deduct $10,000 of our property tax. Of course, there's a lot of residents who pay more than that, but the Senate passed their version and the House, but they have to still get together and come to a final conclusion. I'm also a little bit concerned with not being able to deduct our state income taxes. They said either or, and so far they seem to be focusing on the property tax, but New Jersey has a high income tax, so that could hurt us too. So keep your eye on that, and we'll see how it goes. Police Department, from January to November 30, they answered 7,657 calls. I also would like to congratulate Corporal Rydell and Patrol Officer Ferberini for receiving this award. Both of them have been very proactive from the time they actually got on the force to curtail drunk driving. The police department continues to conduct enforcement details on Washington Avenue. They are monitoring the parking situation surrounding the high school streets, and they are also conducting active shooter training at various locations in the township. Our firearms training for 2017 will be completed this week. And also, I think it's important that you know that Sergeant Pecora and Corporal Fasciano attended a very special 5-day training course at the cost of Homeland Security in regard to certain things which have to stay here. Our new radar speed message board trailer also finally arrived on November 28th, and it can post messages and do speed. So you'll be seeing it around soon. As you know, the township received the Award of Excellence from the AAA of North Jersey for our safety programs, and it was based on a 285-page report written by Captain Hackbarth about our safety activities. Now, this is important. All residents are reminded that because it's a holiday season, we have more burglaries, as you are probably aware, and more suspicious people and vehicles. Please don't hesitate to call them in. It's never a waste of time. Also, the other day there were 5 arrests for shoplifting, okay, at the town center. Please make sure when you go into a store, women, don't keep your purses in that little section in the basket. Please hold it on you, but shoplifting has really been something in the past few days. Also, we've had 2 terrible accidents this past week. I'm sure you heard, the commotion. The first one was on Washington Avenue. A DWI hit and cracked the pole, which hit and cracked another pole, which then pulled wires. It was a pretty bad accident. That person is okay, though they're out of the hospital. However, it came at midnight, it started, and because of the way the damage was, the regular crews couldn't work on it, so they had to call a special supervisor in Pennsylvania who did not arrive here until I don't know what time in the morning, and then the special crews at 9:30. So they worked until midnight to get everything back in order. I do appreciate the fact that nobody lost power during this whole thing. They were able to work hot and keep everybody in power, which I think was quite admirable, because a lot of people would have lost power. The second accident was on the top of Washington Avenue, right opposite, I guess, Robinwood, and a pickup truck going west with one person in it went into the lane where the other pickup truck was going east and collided. And one person was medevac, the rest were taken by ambulance, but they're all okay. And again, it's holiday time, and people have to be very, very careful. So please be on the lookout, no matter where you're driving. It's very important. Let's see. We're scheduling a street sweeping, but we're going to have to postpone it until after all the leaves are picked up. So it'll probably be like the third week of December. I also want to thank the council for the no-knock ordinance. I tried to get it passed before several times, and I really appreciate it. I think it's a good thing for the town. People have an option. Our Veterans Day ceremony went very, very well. We had a lot more people there than I thought. Originally, they wanted to have it outside, but it was too cold. And also, this time I noticed a lot of younger people there too, and I think that's really good. Don't forget about the Wall of Veterans. I have been getting in some pictures of people who are. If you know anybody who lives here or used to live here, please submit the information. Also, our wellness program, I'm happy to report that the one we started in January is still functioning, and we meet at the library. If you want to join us at 10 o'clock, we walk every Saturday. Ambulance Corps, from January to now, the ambulance corps was dispatched 446 times. The fire department is having its annual sale of trees, wreaths, grave blankets, and so forth. Please support them during this holiday season. They were dispatched 182 times. Complaint from an outside agency. I got an email the other day from an environmental place and said that we had wreaths blocking the sidewalk in front of the firehouse. So I called the chief, and he no problem, they moved it. And lo and behold, I don't know who it was, but I got an email back thanking me for having everything moved so that the people don't have to walk out in the street, made for a lot safer things. That's good. Memorial Field Committee. After polarization of passions in regard to the referendum, I'm glad to say that the committee has come a long way in recent meetings. It's like a reality check. In the last month's report, I congratulated members for working hard to find solutions. They've been reading articles, talking to state agencies. As a result, they do have a plan for sodding in the spring and a professional overseer and moving sports to alternate sites. They requested that the new administration let them continue as a group since they are now making a lot of progress. Waste management permit renewal. This is not a good thing. I received a letter from the DEP saying that because the county did not review the environmental issues and the other complaints, that they have no choice but to issue the permit. So I did call the Hillsdale Mayor, John Rocco, and he has put together a letter about this, and he did speak to the BCUA. Personally, I'm not so sure the BCUA is going to be too quick to act on this. It's kind of political, I think. But I think that as a township where the trucks come here 2.3 miles and only 1.2 in Hillsdale, I think we're going to have to take some action on at least looking into the truck routes, because we are damaged by them coming through town. Also, enrollment basketball and recreation is 299, 78 boys and girls in instructional, 221 in intramurals. And our travel is supposed to be about 103. And don't forget the library, the Nutcracker, Wednesday, December 6th at 2 p.m. It's the Lincoln Center movie that they're having there. And please don't forget the movies we have every Monday and Thursday there, and other events at the library. They're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dr. Cassio?
Again, the mayor pretty much covers everything and doesn't leave me with much to say, but I just want to let the town know that myself, Mr. Sears, Mr. Calamari, and the administrator went down to Atlantic City, and we took a couple seminars and learned a lot of good things. I went to 2 seminars. One was on consolidation of emergency services, fire and police. It was pretty interesting. The other one I went to was a government ethics and Oprah law seminar, and I just want to remind the council that all your electronic communication is operable, everything. So please be careful, and that goes for all government employees. Other than that, I just want to remind the public that there is a referendum for the middle school on December 12th. I urge everyone to go out and vote. Either you're for or against it, whatever your prerogative is, because our veterans, like Mr. Sears, who served in combat, gave you that right to do so. So I would hope you would exercise that particular right that our servicemen and women go out there and give you every day of the year. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Sears?
Yes, thank you. 2 items. Last council meeting, the gentleman that's sitting in the audience from the iron workers made some statements about non-union workers at the high school being built. Also, he made statements about people that were drug testing that failed and they were still allowed to go back to work. And I'm just concerned about with the referendum coming up, with the new tax plan that's going to hit us, where are we going to stand financially with this middle school going in? So again, I will say the same thing as Dr. Cassio. Please go out and vote. You know, look at all of the opportunities that are out there and please make a clear decision. On a second note, a personal note on mine, last year, there was a vicious rumor going around about Dr. Cassio, who had some building and some other type of fines put against him for construction. This was a rumor that was going around, and he used his political persuasion, whatever, to get rid of those fines. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because back in 2015, there was a heated debate, and I mentioned this in a council meeting, which was totally wrong to do because it was a vicious rumor. I've known Steve for over 25 years now, and that rumor does not fit his character, it does not fit his demeanor, or it does not fit his personality. And I'm apologizing to Steve right now in a public session that I brought that out in a meeting and it was not right for me to do. And Steve, please accept my apology that these false rumors that are bouncing around, they personally affect Steve and his family, they affect the community, and they're not warranted. And so it came a little late, but Steve,
thank you, Tom.
My apologies. And the man does not, should be judged on false rumors. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Sears. Mr. Calamari?
Yes, thank you. Happy to say that the transition is going well. I've met with a lot of department heads so far. Hope to finish up meetings with department heads by the end of this week, and then we'll be turning my attention to starting the budget process. So things are moving along at a good pace in that area, and everyone else has covered everything that was notable. So with that, I end my report.
Thank you. I don't have much, but Madam Mayor, I would first like to thank you for your thorough reports on the first of the month when we meet, because you leave us nothing to say. maybe you should sign that last report, although I don't know if it will be last report as a mayor, so we can have it for our records as a souvenir. And if you get bored, I would suggest you lobby down in Washington for real estate taxes for us to help us out. That would be great. Other than that,
Even an increase in personal
yeah, that would be
exemption,
fine
yeah.
too. So other than that, in all seriousness, thank you for what you've done, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more thank yous coming. Okay. We can move to a general public discussion. Motion to open, please.
So moved.
Second?
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Is there anybody that would like to address the council? I'm sorry, sir.
I passed out this.
Just your name and address, please.
Yes, I will in a second. I passed this out, so all of you have a copy of this. It's the back portion of the Westwood Regional creating a middle school, okay? I'll be going over that. Okay, my name is Roy Manelli, 445 Maple Avenue, Washington Township. I'm here to discuss the proposed design of the new additions and improvements to the middle school on 3rd Avenue in Westwood, which will be voted on December 12th, 2017, better known as the $24 million bond issue. I took the time this past Saturday and went to the school to reinforce my concerns about safety issues regarding teachers and students during construction and completion of the new middle school. Now, if you look at the plan, maybe you'll be able to follow me, okay? First, there are 11 single push-bar doors and 3 double doors from the existing building into the horseshoe area, which is 81 feet by 188 feet. That remains in the final proposed lower level. So if you look at the lower level floor plan, these emergency exits now lead to the area occupied by the new building inside the horseshoe, with the east-west ground level corridor at the southern end. Quite frankly, there is no way out. At the west end of the corridor are 2 sets of doors opening from the inside into an open space, and again, 2 sets of doors opening from the inside to an open space at the southeast end, and finally exit out of the horseshoe area. The east end of the corridor has no doors. The north end of the horseshoe has 2 sets of double doors leading in and out of the existing building at the north end of the school. These doors must have to be opened from the inside to let teachers and students out. You are now outside, can't get back in to get out. Second safety issue. There are plus or minus 17 locations where the new construction ties into the existing building, putting construction workers in the proximity of teachers and students. Thus, the importance of background checks, as I brought out the last meeting, and drug testing for all construction workers. Third safety issue is snow. How do you get rid of it? You are landlocked by the east-west corridor. Remember, the emergency exits leading to that area. 11 push bars and 3 double doors from the existing building. The snow will have to be removed from the exits before school reopens after a snowstorm. Here are some solutions to these safety problems. First, move the east-west corridor, as you could see at the bottom of the building in the horseshoe. Move the east-west corridor from ground level to the second level, with the north-south corridor presently at the second floor. You may have to add one or more staircases. This will allow clear passage at the southeast end of the horseshoe in case of an emergency. Second, remove the building inside the horseshoe completely. Get rid of it. The first floor has 3 art and science classrooms, and the second floor is a new media center. Why does a middle school of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders need a plus or minus 6,000 square foot media center? Add 3 classes to the main addition and forget about the media center. Estimating this building from within the horseshoe would solve the safety problems I have listed and will ensure the $24 million, if passed, will help cover the cost of this addition at the south end without any cost overruns, which may be paid for by the taxpayers of Westwood and Washington Township. I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
I guess my question is, are you proposing this to the Westwood Regional School themselves too, beside the council?
Well, unfortunately, their meeting is 2 days after the vote, okay? I was unaware of the situation. What brought this to my attention, you weren't here at the last meeting, what brought this to my attention to start with was the picket line in front of the high school by Local 11 of the ironworkers in regards to the garage being built in the back of the high school. That's how I got involved, because of a picket line on this whole deal. So I understand 2 days too late after their meeting in the high school of the Board of Education. So I was unable then to address this. I knew nothing about it at the time. Anybody else? I hope you could try to follow me what I was trying to get.
I would suggest, if you have such a concern, if you walk this over to the school, to Superintendent Gonzalez's office and say, here, give him a copy, I would certainly express your concern to him.
Okay.
I think he would accept it, no doubt.
I might also do that because I seen most of his presentation on the Channel 77, you know?
Yep.
So, so much for that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Motion to close?
So move.
Second.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. We have ordinances, adoption, second reading, none. Introduction, first reading, none. Individual Resolution 17-351, 2000, transfer of appropriations. I believe this is, Mary Ann, $550 for something?
Yes, Mr. Bruno,
Can we motion and second before we discuss,
Okay,
please?
motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
before a new member is taken on, there's a series of physicals that typically happen, and the budget provided for 5, and this is a 6th member. There's a known cost, and there's an expectation of a potential 7th. And it's just moving money from one fire department line to the other, which I received the approval of the chief to do.
Okay. So we have a motion second. Roll call. Sue?
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Consent agenda. All the following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of the council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Resolution 17-352, Resolution 17-353, Resolution 17-354, Resolution 17-355, Resolution 17-356, Resolution 17-357, Resolution 17-358, Resolution 17-359. I guess we should have a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussions, any questions from anybody?
I'm okay with it.
I just have one, Mary Ann, on the, I just lost the number, but the paving contract, no, for the sidewalks,
Oh, the $42?
the 355, no, wasn't it more than that? Was it 42?
Yes, it was a change order, the total change, the second change order is for $42 and some odd cents.
So it's nothing really?
No, it's just it's a requirement.
If I may, Marion, last week, Fred Getz was here about his sidewalk. Did we look into that? Could this be covered in here on the handicap?
Oh, Tom, it's two different things. The
Okay.
This is the project that occurred at Memorial Field
Okay,
for the access to Memorial Field at the sidewalk, and then we brought it down to the corner
Yes.
at Ridgewood
Yep.
Boulevard. And these are just the actual quantities, because with asphalt and curbing, they're estimates.
Thank you.
Pretty good estimates if it's only $42 off. You always have a change order to adjust for actual quantities. So that's what that is.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sue, roll call, please.
Councilman Kellaway?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes,
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Adjournment to conference agenda, please. Motion?
So moved.
second?
Councilman Kellaway?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes.
I just want to, if you don't mind, thank you all for approving the agreement with the DMF. They'll be happy to hear that.
Are they happy?
Very happy.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So we go to the project tracker. I don't know if there's any questions, gentlemen? Mary, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, you mentioned the leaf pusher is in. We had also ordered a truck, so the truck is still out, or the truck is in, or just the leaf pusher came in?
No,
You
the
talked
ma-
about that was the one we were talking about, the Mason dump truck, the
Yeah.
smaller one. We got the price for it now finally, and it's been vetted and all that. So that's where I said we're gonna get two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you know, there's been a few updates since the project tracker was put together for the meeting. And in doing that, originally, when we were looking at the truck, it was to be a different truck than what they eventually decided they wanted, and the entirety of all the features was available on the state contract, which made it nice. And when we realized the price, we talked, the mayor and I and Bill, about getting a second truck, because they were thinking that would happen next year. So they were thrilled to know that there was enough money for them to get two vehicles with plows and all the options they need. So actually, the mayor approved the requisition this evening, and I already generated a purchase order, so they can call the dealership tomorrow and hopefully get it soon.
Great.
The good thing about these two trucks is that they're a little smaller than the dump trucks we have, so they can handle smaller jobs a lot better and easier, and than, going on a big truck to do a smaller job. So they were gonna ask for one next year, so this helps us get it all at once. Thank you.
So you mentioned, I think, 2 meetings ago, that, they seem to get hand-me-down vehicles. So, and now that we got an extra one, is that,
Well, this is
Help.
the vehicle I'm referring to is the SUV that
yeah,
they
I know
used to go out.
it's an SUV, but does that
And
help them in terms of
So
having
they,
that extra
we
vehicle?
we got a price on one, but the council would have to authorize it because they have an old Crown Vic, a really old one. And they have an SUV that was a hand-me-down also, but it needs a lot of work now. So I really thought that they, for a change, should have their own new car. They've always been second.
So you think there's still one more vehicle? Okay. Anybody else, project tracker?
Yeah, the phone system, Marianne, how's that working out? Are we all up to date with, is it, we were talking about
We're still
different
working out the
options and-
kinks like any rollout of new technology. There was work to be sorted out in the telephone room where all the wires are. We had the install and some training, some limited training. There's been a few kinks, but we're addressing them as they come. It's a huge improvement. It's just tremendous. You don't have a situation where we had limited lines to dial out. It's all now part of a pipe. So you share the lines, and we're just working out some things because I had to coordinate between the installer and Verizon.
Okay.
And sometimes with Verizon, when I was down at the league, before I had to step out of a class to deal with 20 minutes, the phones, things like that.
Right.
And it's been constant emails back and forth, but slowly but surely, we had to, there's a lot of paperwork to file. So,
Do we anticipate like a phone tree when you dial 1 for the clerk, dial 2 for the administrator, dial 3 for DMF?
I mentioned that last time. It has the capability to do that. The mayor did not want that. Things can change.
Okay, because that, when I call in, I call the main number and I don't know who I'm getting sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's very inconvenient and they got to transfer you. If it's confusing for me, it's got to be confusing for the residents.
Yeah, well,
To get someone.
I know from hearing Bernadette's office is right next to mine. I hear her constantly how she's redirecting calls. At lunch, I don't usually go out for lunch. I usually work through lunch, and I'll pick up the phone more times than not. And a lot of times, can I have the building department? Can I have the court? Can I have the clerk's office? Can I have such and such? And Sue also, I know, has said the same thing. So we would like it, as everybody gets acclimated, to possibly consider that. But again, it's not a choice that I'm going to be making the decision on.
If I might,
Thank you.
There is a good point about now we don't have to dial 3 times before we get a ring. We had to dial the number 3 times before you actually were able to get a ring. It's so much now, at least you dial it and you get the number.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I know we got a new phone system, but are we still on copper cable, or has Verizon ran a fiber optic line in this area?
I do not believe they have. They originally called me and said it was available, and then when I said, "Oh, okay, give me the details," they said, "Oh, wait, we jumped the gun." So, and just so you know, it's a different question, but the technology we have is our PRIs,
Right.
and we do have some of the old POTS lines because you need to have them for fax
Police
machines and some of the
department, yeah.
police department lines, which actually proved helpful because during the transition, at least those lines were available, and the front desk never shut down for the police department.
If
But-
you want, I can give you a contact of a person in Verizon. You might be able to negotiate getting a fiber optic line here. That would probably save us a lot of money if you're getting off the copper.
Okay,
And you still can keep a couple of copper lines
yeah.
in the building.
And then, and another perk of this, and I think we talked about it early on, is with the POTS lines, the way I think it's the federal tariff laws are in place, you had to have your long-distance carrier as separate from your local. And now, once you're on the PRI, you can have them both
Yes.
with the same carrier, which will help as far as bill paying, and it'll reduce the cost too. So it remains to be seen, the actual cost savings, but there definitely will be some. And in fact, the cost for maintaining the phone system went down. We're getting brand-new phones for less than it was cost our service agreement for our 20-year-old phones. And that's how it all happened. I said, what are we paying for? And that's when the conversation started.
But it was a lot of work. I mean,
Thank you.
days and days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The people were here.
Okay, moving on to budget. So are we on schedule to receive the budget January 15th or 17th, or whatever the first date is?
Well, as you know, there's going to be the transition for the mayor. So I met with Peter today to talk about the process. I'll let him talk more about it, but we're still looking for some of the budgets from some of the departments. And then it's a matter of, it's a multi-step process, actually getting the information in from the department heads, inputting it into the Excel spreadsheet, and then making decisions on what the mayor wants to have in the budget. So I'll defer to Peter at this point.
Okay. Yes, I would like to, obviously try and meet that date. I'm going to do, all my due diligence to hopefully meet it. But also what I'm looking into is if I can't do a formal budget presentation to the council by that day, to at least start the process to see if we can start working on the expense sides, even if we don't have all the revenue sides. So, if I can't have the whole thing in place by then, I'm hoping at least to have a lot of the expense ones, so we can start to talk about it while the revenue side is still being worked out. So that would be my plan.
What date was that, Peter?
January
The
15th.
15th, good.
And you had also mentioned that you were going to look for temporary funding for building the DMF and the firehouse and fire truck. Are you still looking to do that immediately?
For the
I don't know if
for the
you can do
studies of it,
temporary.
yes, not for the actual construction.
Oh, for the studies.
Yeah, just to start that moving along with any studies or engineering or architectural work. Yes, I will be putting that in the temporary budget.
So you think
Well,
you...
Just so you know, there is some money in an old ordinance for DMF feasibility study. And there is the ordinance that authorizes the funding for the construction. So those two things are in place. The feasibility study ordinance, I believe, was funded. Because earlier in the year, when Mr. Statiel evaluated that building, that was charged to that. So there is some funding in place. I don't know how much more you have to do. It's certainly something that Ashley can assist with.
So Peter, you think that by the 15th we'll have the expense portion done?
Yes, at least certainly for the major departments, so we can start the process. I would hope to have it all, but there's still over a month to go until that date, and I'm still learning the process, so I don't want to fully commit to it, but I'll certainly try my best.
Okay. Next topic's Memorial Field. There's been some interim reports circulating over the last few days and some responses to the reports. And I think Madam Mayor mentioned the project is moving forward to some extent.
Well, you were there, so you know what did transpire.
Yeah, but I think as a, so there's a lot that's been said, and I think the council should read all the letters that went back and forth. There's a lot. There's comments from people in the committee, and I think it's prudent for us to actually go through everything and understand the requests and the issues that exist, because it seems there's some back and forth problems. But the end result is, if we're looking to resod this field, there's a lot that goes into that, as in resodding, as in grass experts, as in sprinkler systems, as in lighting, as in soil testing. I mean, there's just a bunch of projects that need to be addressed. So, and that's got to go in your budget for next year, so that we know what we're spending. And we need to understand exactly what we're going to do with this. So I think if everybody goes through the interim reports and have feedback for the next meeting, I think that would be helpful for everybody.
And just on that note, if you don't mind, Mr. Bruno, this afternoon, and I didn't get a chance to evaluate any of this I was sitting during the meeting, multitasking. Mr. Statiel, I guess, was asked by the committee to provide some cost estimates for certain tasks in preparation for various things. So he did submit that, and I will circulate it. I don't know who to. But it says at the November 30th, 2017 Fields Committee meeting, the committee and mayor asked that we provide cost proposals in order for the council to transfer funds for us to conduct the following tasks. And then it's broken down by test topsoil samples from Memorial and Sherry, delineate wetlands, field survey the wetland flagging, assist with Memorial Field inspection by turf manager, greenkeeper, and so on and so forth. So I have that. I don't know who I should give that to. Everybody? Disseminate to the entire council? Okay.
a lot of people on the committee individually did, well, you heard, a lot of research, you know, with state agencies, with experts, with, you know, articles that they read and submitted to the committee. So everybody was really doing a lot of work and came to a lot of resolutions as you were there. So hopefully, I did ask the teal to provide some cost estimates so the council has an idea of what you would need.
Okay?
Bob, I just have one comment. I don't know how far the committee meetings are scheduled out to. Since I'll be taking over the mayor's position, I'm wondering if one can be scheduled for the first week of the year so I could sit in on it and listen and get a better understanding other than just the emails going back and forth.
Yeah, you should probably contact, well, the next meeting is the 13th or the 15th of December, a Wednesday, I'm not sure what date that is. And then you should contact Mr. Dugan
Okay.
and you know, see when the next ones will be scheduled in January, so you get your name on the
Okay,
list.
I'll reach out to him. Thanks.
Okay, we have appointments 2018. Is this you, Sue?
Well, I have one small update. I did reach out to the 3 current zoning board members that their term expires. There's 2 vacancies and 1 alternate, and all 3 of them have shown interest to come back onto the board. In fact, the alternate, if possible, is interested in a full-time slot now. So that's 3. You'll need, I believe, 2 more to replace Mr. DeSena and Mr. Cumming. So
This
they
for
have
zoning?
names.
For
Yes,
zoning? So you're going to give us a list of names for the next meeting to vote on?
Well, I have 3. You need to give me 2 more.
So I just want to mark it so I can keep this thing current since I was asked for it before. So it's George Moriev that wants to be
Yeah.
on
let us stay
permanently?
on, yes.
And Dina Burke wants to
Yes.
stay on, and Saeed Toro,
would
who's
like
an
to-
alternate now.
right, would like to be
He'd like to go
elevated if
full-time?
possible.
And one thing, if I might add, I just looked at this, it's so comprehensive, it's a great tool to have. I just had a few comments, there was a notation that the term of the fire officials is by personal action form. That's not accurate because personal action forms are only for employees, they are independent contractors. So I'm not sure exactly how it is determined, but that's not the document that sets it.
It's there because whoever hires them sets the time and sets the period of time that it works. If it's a year. or
Okay, I
6
just want to
months,
make sure
yeah,
that
I understand,
it's
I
not a
understand.
document.
No, I
Yeah,
understand, yeah, I understand.
Okay.
But it's not a,
I wanted everybody to know that
Okay.
they're not an employee, they
Yeah.
are an independent
Right.
contractor. And then just one other thing, the violations clerk is not the deputy court administrator, as far as I understand right now.
I said that.
No, no.
No, it says in there the violations clerk currently is serving, if I read it correctly.
Let's see, I was given that, I think, by Sue, right, Sue?
Right, and we discussed that the deputy municipal court administrator, that position is vacant because the current person is a violations clerk because they don't have a
They
certification.
don't have a certification.
Oh, but it says deputy municipal court administrator,
That's-
currently filled by violations clerk.
Well, it's
Yeah, okay.
basically saying that you don't have one, and that position, the function of that position is being done by. the-
Okay, I just want, so
Yeah, I
you understand and Sue
I
understands, but I don't know that
understand.
these guys do.
I understand.
You don't follow that? We need to make it complicated.
Okay. Reorganization date? Is this to set a date in January, obviously, to,
So if you have any idea, because we are receiving phone calls from a number of different organizations and people and newspapers to find out when it is so they can all schedule.
when is it supposed to be done by?
Has to be done by the first week of January.
And just, and so Bob understands, I mentioned at the last meeting that the mayor's term does not run to her successor is appointed, it's until
What we said last week.
December 31, right?
What we said last week was that if you're not gonna have reorganization on January 1, that the mayor needs to get sworn in January 1, because you have to have a mayor as of January 1. But the mayor can be sworn in by a variety of people, they can give votes, or you can have it on the first of January, or anytime during the first week of January.
Well, I wouldn't recommend January 1st. You want to do year's day? I don't know if we'll be able to be coherent. What about the council members? Is there a deadline?
Well, let me put it this way, I prefer everybody getting sworn in on
At the same
January
time?
1, January 1, you know, whether you have a full reorganization or not, that's something different, but the swearing in was, I think we should have that. The oaths at least,
The what?
the oaths,
Oh,
swearing in. Oaths.
Utes, two Utes, two Utes,
Oh, I swear that.
two Utes.
so if you do January 1, then the mayor and the two councilmen come in, you swear them in, and then they go home? Is that
That's
what you're
right.
saying? I
And
mean,
then-
basically, you don't have to have a meeting?
Right, and then you can have your reorganization
On January
as long as it's during the first week of January.
Does that mean by the 8th? That's not the first week. The next Monday is the 8th. It's a week from the 1st.
First
Well,
week of
if-
January.
You have a
First week of
functioning
January.
board
So
with
is the
three,
7th the
three
first-
council people,
First week
so it's not
is
imperative that
So it's
they
got to be
they are
before
sworn
the
in, but at
7th,
least
so it's
the
going to be
mayor
on
should be
Monday.
sworn, has to be sworn, should be sworn in on the 1st, because it's an executive position.
Okay, so you can swear the mayor in on the 1st, and then we're scheduled to have a proposed meeting on the Tuesday, the 2nd?
We can do that, that's what we did
Or
this past year.
that's what we did this year?
Yeah, I gave you two different schedules.
Just do it Tuesday.
One is by the current ordinance, and that's number one.
But then you show the next meeting on the 16th
Mm-hmm.
versus the 15th?
Correct, because the 15th is Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
We're not closed, but being a holiday, the suggestion was to, and the way the ordinance is written, the way I did an attachment, was if it falls on a holiday, it's usually the next day. So number one is by that ordinance, and number two is just as it currently was scheduled this year. So if it was a holiday, we went to the following week. I don't think there's a lot of difference between the two sets, but I wanted to give you an option and open to suggestions.
And if we do Tuesday, can we just go to the 5th and back to and skip the 16th?
What do you mean the 5th of February?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is that in January, when you do your reorg, you do a lot of your reorganization stuff, which is your standard annual appointments, bank accounts, newspapers, that kind of stuff. But then there are things that do come up by the end of the month that, regular business type of things.
Ken, if we wanted to change the day of the week that it's in the ordinance, can we do that by
Now,
ordinance?
Now, the state statute says you have to get reorganized by the.
No, I'm
Oh,
saying.
yes.
But later,
Oh, absolutely.
we have all these holidays on Monday.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it throws off the whole schedule. Can we just
Yeah,
change the
yeah.
ordinance till Tuesday?
Absolutely,
And then it
yes.
kind of, we don't have to worry about it.
Correct, yes.
Okay. So that's something maybe we might want to think about. in the
But we can
upcoming
change
year.
any day.
Actually, you know
We
what?
can change any day we want,
If you
right?
do that, I've been contacted by General Code about the
Right.
codification, so rather than have to go through a whole change.
Put in the codification.
Yeah, so if you could agree on it between, next, I'm not saying today, but,
Right.
get on that right
In the
away.
near
I can
future.
get that into the codification.
It just makes, to me, it just makes sense.
Right.
It avoids all these holidays that fall on a Monday.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about having, like this week, we just had a meeting last week.
Yeah.
It would avoid things of that nature.
And that's why when I spoke to a couple of different departments, I had mentioned that the council should reorganize first before you put your schedules together, because you don't know if a conversation like this will come up.
Right.
So-
So, anyway, that's just a thought for the new year.
Do any other groups, I think the zoning board meets on Tuesdays, right?
Oh, we'll stick them at Monday.
The zoning
They don't meet
board-
they hardly meet anyway, so.
Zoning board is the third.
I'm not saying you
Tuesday.
can't do it, you just have to know you're doing it.
Right, I know.
Right. Planning for is the third Wednesday, and zoning board is third Tuesday. And Peter, have you found out anything on the mayor's meeting yet?
Not yet, no.
I did hear from one mayor that I reached out to, who said that he waits for Skip Cully to send out that email.
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't know himself yet when that is, so.
Okay.
I
They're
need to
usually
work
on
that.
Wednesday nights, the mayor
Is it?
meetings, right, Janet?
Wednesdays.
When did,
Do
when?
you know, which one was it, Jen? Do you remember?
It's the second Wednesday of the month.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, so we can have the mayor sworn in on the 1st, and I normally don't like to ask the audience, but the two council members are here for the second. Are you guys okay with the second? Well, I guess you can both come in on the first then, too, if you want.
Okay.
I don't know, what time?
Well, why don't you could just arrange for.
Just arrange.
It's just an
Just
oath,
swearing
just
in.
swearing, you know,
So we can swear in and swear out.
yeah, so.
Okay, so
we can arrange,
Sue will contact everybody. Okay. All right, the first it is.
Not too early, not too early.
Well, no, wait, see, the first is you're swearing in the offices, but you still should
have to
set
do-
your organizational day meeting when you have
Yeah.
that.
This, you gotta do this.
You got-
Sign
you
and
got-
die. Sign and die should be on Tuesday.
You got it, okay, so is that gonna be Tuesday then, you're gonna
Yeah.
set it up?
Yeah, I think that's,
Okay. All right.
that's not up to me, it's up to
I
the
just
What-
wanna-
majority rules, I'm okay with it.
Tuesday, what, the second?
Regular bat time?
Yeah, I guess so. Regular what?
Bat time.
That time you want to.
Bat time, bat channel, I'm kidding, Batman.
Uh-oh. Is 7:30 okay with everybody?
Wham.
Are we, I got that one. Are we, is WCTV okay with those switches? Do we know? And I just want, just so you're thinking of it, I mean, are they
Well, why don't we
gonna?
do it for the second, and then if there's a problem, we'll
Oh,
regroup
yes.
for the next meeting, okay?
Is the swearing in gonna be televised? No? Okay,
I don't think we have to bring everyone in for that.
okay.
You know what you could do, I mean, you know, you've done this with the marriages too. You know, you
Do it
get married
twice.
and then you just go through it again. You know, just because, so it looks like it looks like. If you want, it's totally up to you.
Do I get married twice? I don't know.
There are those of us who haven't.
Refrain from my comment, I'm sorry.
WCTV is good for the second, so we'll do it that way, first and second, right? Yes? Yes. Okay. So the council meeting schedule, Sue, you want us to look at this for next meeting and come back and?
Well, just some ideas. I mean, again, you know, as Ken and I have spoken, technically the new council meeting should be done by the new council. So, you know, we can't adopt it until reorganization day, but at least they've looked at it in their packets as well. I know Mr. Cumming has said that he's out of the area on January 5th, so he'll be good being sworn in. You know, give me some feedback. You know, let me know what you think, and then we can put a resolution together for the rework for the new schedule.
Okay, will do.
We'll talk more, I'll put it back on for next week for further discussion.
So we all need to look at the calendar dates.
Please.
Okay, next item, voter intimidation. I had it on last week, and obviously I wasn't here. My question on this is, during the election, I received feedback from people subsequent to the election, that some residents had received text messages from people about taking signs off their lawn, which I guess is one thing. But there was also allegedly a town representative who handles matters for us, who told a resident that they should remove their sign. And why did they have our sign, independent sign, on their lawn? So my question is, what's the recourse that can be taken regarding the person that did this from a legal standpoint? Because I don't know if you can actually go up to somebody and ask why they have a sign and they should take it off their property. So I'd like to know what the recourse is.
Well, first of all, I don't even know if that's voter intimidation, to tell you the truth.
Well, I think it is, but, so what's the recourse, though, is my question.
I assume if you feel that there is, then go file a complaint.
I'm asking, so what do I do? What do I file a complaint to? I already filed with the
You have to
Bergen
go
County
to the-
Prosecutor's Office, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. Do I have to do something here locally, too, to put it on record?
If you want, I would assume you could file something with the police department. I don't think we've ever had anybody do that, so I think they'd probably have to look it up and see what the story is.
Okay.
It's not something that's you know, normal, I think, that we've run across, so. But you can just file a complaint with the
Yeah,
police
I mean, I
department.
agree. I don't think there are a lot of things that were normal, but I just think it's, you know, somebody who represents the town should not be telling a resident, why do you have your sign and take it off your lawn? That's just
Bob,
inappropriate.
if I might, did the person do it during the course of business from town hall, or
No, at the property, at the
No,
residence
I'm just
property.
saying, because if
During the day?
During working
if it was
hours.
during, while they were
Workday.
working, that would violate the personnel manual.
No, it was during the day.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it wasn't while the person was, the employee
I don't think so,
was working?
no.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bob, in that respect, I know our ordinance is a little bit vague regarding placement of signs. I think it states you can have one so many square inches, and each campaign can have one that's, so, I think 6 big, large ones, whatever the dimensions are. But what I found out a lot of times that we have, that law really doesn't jive with the federal law, where if you want to have more than one political sign, you can. It's been upheld in South Jersey, I forget the township, and you know the case law on that, and I think our law should reflect that, and change that. And since we're doing codification, it would be a good time to do it at this point.
Yeah, there are some issues about, like some of the ordinances we have in town have some issues to them. I think that's one that's not, that really shouldn't be a codification issue. Maybe it should be an issue that you actually look at independently.
Okay,
Or at least gets before, I mean, the other one's an easy fix, you know what I'm saying?
Right, I understand.
I think you need discussion. I don't want to just change something and throw it to the codification and then it's done. I think it needs to be thought through.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah, that, and
Yeah.
then I know there's an issue, and it's happened in the past, not only in Washington Township, where there's a political sign right on the border of two homes, so you don't know whom the sign belongs to. You think it belongs to property A or property B, you don't know. I think maybe we should, specify it's gotta be 5 feet from a property line or something along those lines, so it's delineated who's put that sign on that property. Well, those are just my 2 observations with that, so.
Okay. I put the next, Faulkner form of government. So I actually had this printed back when, it's March of 2003. So I don't know how fast things change and whether or not this is our plan, but it does talk about the council powers under the mayor-council plan. And I know we're going into the reorg, and I think Mr. Ullman asked you, Ken, for some, who gets consent and agenda and advice from the council, et cetera. So in this Faulkner Act that I have, it specifically states that the council is exercised the advice and consent to actions of the mayor. It also states that the establishment of the council as a committee of the whole and the delegation of any number of its members as an ad hoc committee. So I assume that the council can form an ad hoc committee for projects that we're going to be faced with next year. It also states, and I think I've said this several times, that the approval of contracts presented by the mayor, the council approves all contracts presented by the mayor. So I want to make sure that, we don't have any questions regarding that in terms of problems. And it also talks about, that basically the mayor could veto an ordinance, but if we have a 2/3 majority vote, you can override the mayor's veto. Does that sound like what the Faulkner Act says?
That's what it always is,
You've always approved the contracts, and you authorize the mayor to sign them, so we've always done that.
And it's
The
override
The
is
veto
always
is a
been-
2/3 thing, it's always been that. The council can be a committee of the whole, you can always have that. As far as appointments are concerned, you don't have consent on all appointments of the mayor, by law, by ordinance, by the Faulkner Act, you do not. You have certain appointments which you can make, and then there are other appointments that the mayor makes, and then it's subject to your advice and consent. If you'll take a look at the thing I handed out, it's got all the stuff in there. All the appointments, that's what Mike asked for, and that's what I put together. The 3-page sheet that I put together. It has the advice and consent, it's got like, for example, you get to appoint, Bob, you get to appoint the auditor. I mean, that's a flat-out appointment. Others you give your consent, others you don't give your consent. So it's in the list.
Excuse me, Ken, when you talk about, can you give me the definition of an ad hoc committee, what that would entail?
I mean, it's just if you want to investigate something or you want to take a look at something.
It would have to be the whole council to take a look at, is
You
that
could- you
correct?
could- Well,
Or,
you could always be a committee of the whole. I mean, you know, it's not a form of government where you split up and say, they're in charge of the Department of the police and stuff like that.
Right.
But the council can act as a committee of the whole, or you can have committees, you can have ad hoc committees. The question is what those committees can do.
okay.
I mean, you could certainly, you can look into.
Well, I would assume they
things.
would give recommendations to
Yeah.
the whole
Right,
governing
right.
body.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Can you have more than a quorum on an ad hoc committee? Does it have to be two?
I think we've had committees here, I'd have to see if there's a prohibition for the committee of the whole. I know you can operate as the committee of the whole, but I also think you probably can have subcommittees to look at certain things, appoint 2 or 3 people to look at something.
Okay. Could you
But
look
that's-
into that, how it stands
Okay, yeah.
legally? That would be great. Sure. Thank you.
It also states, Ken, salaries of the department directors, mayor, and council shall be set by the council by resolution, does not require the mayor's approval.
That's always been the case.
Salary ordinance.
Salary ordinance.
Yeah, but it says it does not require mayor's approval.
Salary
So it
ordinance
means-
doesn't require.
That's you just- it's just
approval, right?
majority-
Salary ordinance is approved by the
majority-
council
It's a
anyway.
majority,
Yeah, but, I mean, we went through this once before, and it was approved by the council, and you vetoed it, so how can you veto
No,
if
you
it's
could,
approved by
because
us?
she has the right of veto.
Oh, so you can veto it even though it's
An
approved?
ordinance can be vetoed.
Okay, and then you need 2/3 vote
But-
to override the veto.
Correct.
Okay.
But I read that when I had the issue with the mayor saying she was gonna cut my salary. And I got clarification that,
First of all, I never said I was
Honestly.
gonna cut your salary.
Really,
I
honestly,
wanted
do
to
you really have
reduce
to,
your
do you really have to
increase.
talk like that? Honestly, really? And really, nobody's addressing you on that either. With all
What
due
are you
res-
saying?
With all due respect.
Okay.
I'd like to hear what happened.
I'm just-
I just wanna say that there was a discussion and that the council set my salary as a director. So,
The council sets the administrator's salary.
I'm the director of administration.
Right, and we set the, I remember, I mean,
Yeah,
it came back
yeah.
that we set your salary.
Right.
Okay. Okay, anyway, that was my Faulkner discussion. And then this is the appointments that you gave us?
Yes, I gave you, it's a 3-page list. I tried to be as complete as possible. I will tell you that it's a work in progress because I needed to check with Bernadette some of the people. And also, I didn't get around to putting the appointments of people who don't need to be appointed this year. I mean, there are a lot of appointments, a lot of positions.
Yeah.
So I tried to, this is really talking to anybody who's coming up this year. I intend to supplement that and make it a complete list by adding, other people afterwards so that we'll have at least a working list to move forward with.
Okay,
And then everybody can just look at it.
thank you. Gentlemen, any questions, anything, before I move on?
No?
So change form of government, I think we actually put this back in April. I had first put it on, and then we did get from you, Ken, the various options. So again, I just want to reiterate, because this is obviously a hot topic. So, in your letter, you mentioned that there are 2 ways, and actually, I think there are 3, but the Charter Study Commission or direct petition referendum. So I read through what you wrote, which was very thorough, as always, and to me, it seems really to move something like this forward at a reasonable rate and not wait for 2 years, we would do more of a direct petition, which could be adopted through direct petition where the voters of the municipality can adopt a Faulkner plan by petition and referendum without a charter study commission. And I believe it goes to the voters, and it appears as if they need 20% of the municipalities of more than 7,000 or less than 70, where we would fall in, that we would need a petition signed by a minimum of 20%. I don't know if that's the total registered voters or the voters that voted in the last election. Would
It's,
you know?
I think it's the last general election, if I recall.
Would you know on that or no?
No,
Okay.
I did write that in April.
It's page 20, just so you know. I'm just saying.
Suno?
Yeah.
Huh?
The Suno?
I'm trying, I think it's the legislators, it might be the legislators that were, they were assembly, the assembly, things based on the assembly maybe?
Well, we can find
Something
out.
like-
We can find out.
Okay, so maybe you can let us
Based
know.
on the turnout of the last election.
Yeah, I think the assembly, the 20% of the people that are voting for the assembly.
So I think that would be the quickest way to get anything moving forward, so that we'd have something done by this election, which is, I guess, when is the election? What do you have, general election, November again? This year?
August.
Okay. The other interesting thing, Ken, in your memo was that you said the Township of Washington to its original form of government, which was a township form, which I guess must have been way before the Faulkner Act?
Way before.
Okay. Which actually has some merit itself. So I don't know if everybody here has it, and to the new council guys, you should probably get this memo so you can look at this. Do you want to circulate this, Sue? Do you have this? I don't know if this was a hard copy or you did it in an electronic copy, but can you do it electronic to Sue so she can distribute?
I
Okay.
probably sent it to you.
Oh, I did.
I don't know.
Can I
Maybe
see?
you printed
I'm
it.
always giving you things, I'm gonna take it back from you.
Can I just get some clarification, if I might?
You
Mr.
can.
Bruno? On the approval of contracts, is that every contract, or I thought there was a dollar threshold?
It says approval of contracts. It doesn't say any, there's no dollar amount here. I mean, you know, again, everything is always,
I want to make sure everybody's moving forward at the same, on the same.
Yeah, well, I think well, I don't want to talk for Mary Ann, but I mean, for example, if she is buying something and it's under like 17.5 and she enters into a thing to buy it, that you have to take a look at that, and that's not one of the ones that you do. Is that what you're looking?
Yes, yes.
I mean, she has to do her purchasing. We're
Yeah.
talking about, major contracts, things of that nature, but there are things that are purchased and things like that are under contract, for example.
I understand.
So that's kind of that doesn't come before you. Now, if you had a construction project, things of that nature.
Labor
you know,
contract,
labor
things like that. I
contract,
just
yeah.
want to make sure moving forward,
Right,
we're all on
yeah.
the same
So it's
page.
not like every
Because I
single-
didn't hear that qualification,
Yeah, because
yes.
otherwise, Marion would be totally stymied to do anything.
Correct. Thank you.
okay. You need this, Sue?
No, I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions? Moving on?
I have, not questions, but statements.
Yeah, sure.
I disagree with your original thing that this is a hot topic. Might
very
be hot
hot.
among certain people, but I don't know that it is among the voters in general. And just to recap a little bit, I didn't know where this was going when I saw it on the agenda, so I did a little homework. It was put on our agenda April 10th, which happened to be our first meeting after the primary deadline. So I find that a little interesting. And then it hadn't been on a subsequent agenda until now. So I also find that timing very interesting.
Well, what's the timing of, why is the timing interesting on April 1? Because I have no clue. I put it on myself. I
I
have no
just-
clue as to what timing I did it, number one. Number two, I'm putting it back here because we did bring it up again, which is when Ken did give us this letter. So it's the second time we got it. And it is a hot topic in town, as far as I'm concerned. So we will develop, I'm hoping, an ad hoc committee with the council members, and we will start seeing what we need to do a petition, and we will determine a form of government, and we will present it.
That's fine. Like I said, I just question, why wasn't it on every meeting since it was on the first time?
Doesn't matter if it was on every meeting, Peter. First of all. Second of all, I brought it up. I ran under the guise that we would change the form of government. I brought it up in April. Nobody else did. I brought it up again. Ken gave us
When
this
did you bring it up
document.
again?
When we got the document from Ken. Does it matter? What does it matter?
I'm just curious.
It doesn't matter. We're going to bring it up.
Why there was a big time gap?
I don't know why there was a big time back, because I had to wait for Ken to give us the information,
We talked about
number
the
one.
change of form of government
It's gonna
prior,
change.
On a lot of, with a lot of members on this board that I've known. We talked about it back in 2012, 2011. We talked about it in 2014. We talked about it prior to Bob bringing it up. So it's not the first time we're talking about it, and people are, they are interested in it. And if not,
I'm just,
no.
yes, and I'm just letting the people be aware that the timing, in my opinion, is highly suspect. That it was put out-
Suspect of what?
I'll let the voters decide what is suspect
Suspect of what? You made a comment.
Yeah,
Explain it. Suspect of what? I was very clear when I ran that we would change the form of government. So what's suspect? I'm bringing it
What?
up again.
But why the big time gap?
What does that mean, why the big time gap?
You put it on in April.
Right.
It wasn't on again until now.
No, we got it on again, we talked about it, so now we're bringing it up again.
June,
Can I ask a
July,
question?
August,
Can I just-
September,
It makes no sense what he's saying,
October,
but that's not
November.
unusual.
Can I, can I get something else, though? Changing the form of government, hot topic or not a hot topic, you like it, you don't like it, that's not that important as much as what you go to, or the choices that you have, and what the changes are, and what the availability is, and what the impact would be, that is important.
I agree.
So don't you think that the right way to go is to have a charter committee? To look at the various forms of government and make recommendations, as opposed to 4 people or 5 people sitting up here going, let's go with this form of government or something like that? It seems to me that whenever I've seen this issue come up, that there's usually a committee of people going into these kinds of forms of government. They're all different, the forms of governments, they're all different, and they may be better than you have now, or more to your liking, or less to your liking, I don't know. But usually, it would be, I would expect to see normally a charter committee, a commission put
Okay.
together.
In that token, it's not like we're just exploring it at this point. We haven't made any decision. We've been talking about it for years. It's not a topic that's new to this council or former councils. So we'll just have to play with it and see where it goes. Maybe this is still the best form. There are pros to this form of government. It's very streamlined. There are other you can keep this form and still change it.
Yes.
You could change it, make it nonpartisan, or you could do it by wards. But still keep the same form. So there's many different factors
Right.
that you can use, or you can take a form that's different and make it more similar to this form. So again,
Well,
there's a lot of different
and by the way,
factors.
I agree with that 100%.
You know,
That's
sure.
why I'm saying that
Right.
the commission view, analyzing it of what's available, not available, just is something that you really want to consider.
You can pick a little from here, a little from there, and make your own. And that's what
Yes.
the
There's
intent
no
of the
reason why we can't have a
Constitution
committee of
of
people.
New
It's just
Jersey
that
was.
the Charter Commission seems to go on forever and ever, and I think we'll be sitting here for years trying to figure it out. I mean, there are four types of form of government. The one we know now we're not interested in, my opinion. And then there were 3 others. And I read it, and in my opinion, there's one that gets knocked out, so it leaves 2. And then you mentioned that there is the old township, which actually is an interesting form itself. So I think, the council can certainly form a committee to look at what's available to us, number one, and then see where we want to go and what we want to do. But I don't think this is something, in my opinion, that should drag on forever, because I do feel it's a hot topic. So, anyway, that was on,
And also, I would just like to point out that, Steve, the few years you mentioned, up until now, has all been the same mayor. Now, starting January 1st, there will be a different mayor. Again, as I said, I think this form of government can work. I'd like the opportunity to see that it can work. I think this is I'll let the voters decide about everything else I said.
And I agree, with this form of government, it has a lot to do with personalities, okay? It's just, I guess the word I'm looking for is leadership role in that particular branch, being an executive, okay? It can work very, very well, and it could work very, very poor, but there's other forms that take that particular, we'll call it, personality out of the mix, so to speak, okay? And it's not dependent on 1 or 2 personalities. And I think, coming from my standpoint, that would be best for a municipality. It doesn't depend on one. It depends on a body. We all work together. Our common goal being up here is to do the best thing we can for our town. Make the best decisions, spend the money wisely and prudently, and get the best bang for our dollar. And again, you know, sometimes a personality makes it happen, and sometimes a personality doesn't make it happen. And this is no reflection on anyone who has ever held this office or another office. That's just the way this form is. You see it at the federal government, okay? You got a strong personality, and sometimes it works well, and sometimes it doesn't work well. I'm just saying, I think maybe to take the personalities out of it and leadership qualities out of it, you might want to spread the responsibility across the elected members in a township. That's all. I'm willing to give anything a chance. We're open.
Okay, again, I just ask people that are watching, keep in mind the timeframes.
Okay, we're on number 3, amend ordinance 223.27, updated information.
Has anybody heard anything from any of the residents, any further information you'd like to have checked out?
What ordinance is that?
That was the parking and the parking on the front.
With semi-abandoned vehicles and people's backyard as opposed to
backyard,
front
side
yard.
yard,
Okay.
all that stuff. Everybody was supposed to kind of get input. It may be a little bit, don't forget, it's been 1 week since you brought it up, I think, so I don't think anybody has had a chance to actually get any input, but,
No, I haven't.
I mean, I don't think this is, unless somebody thinks it's a hot topic, I don't want to say it's not a hot topic, but, you know, it's not that urgent that you have it done like right away. I thought this was more like, you know, give yourself a month to get some feedback from people, because you need to talk to a fair amount of people to get some input back on this issue. It's not something you really can do in a week.
I was reading in the charter somewhere, we have some part that covers like abandoned and non-operating machinery. I forgot where it is exactly.
There is an
you know.
abandoned vehicle ordinance, but that's not as full as parking trailers and parking functional things in the backyard.
But I think it talked about non-functional machinery. So,
Right.
you know, like we talked about, you know, putting someone's extra car on the side of the house as opposed to a
Right.
car with no engine, no doors, and no
Right.
tires.
Right.
Totally different
Right.
animal.
Right.
So, you know,
I think the big thing, as I recall, the conversation was, I mean, it was mentioned about cars, you know, being stripped over, but also pop-up trailers and other trailers, regular functional things that are just being parked that people didn't like,
Yeah.
unsightliness and things of that nature. So, as I said, those things raise a lot of issues with people. If they, you know, been having those kind of vehicles for years, and all of a sudden, you know, they're not allowed to park on the side yard or the rear yard. The one that's where I was like a boat trailer.
Well, if, you know, again, it comes down to, you know, enforcement. If you knew right away that you couldn't do it, and it wasn't enforced for a couple of years, and then you come and say to the resident, you know, you can't have this, it really is, it's difficult to negotiate something like that. If I've had a trailer on my property for 20 years, and now you tell me we're enforcing the ordinance, well, it's been there for a while. You know, it sets a, you know, I guess a precedent along those lines. I don't know. So.
Well, I think that again, it's just something that you really should get feedback from the residents and find out how the sentiment is.
I don't like people parking on their lawns, so that's a hot topic for me. I mean, it just drives me up a wall.
That is.
I mean, I think it just shows classless, you know, I mean, it just looks terrible. And they still park on their lawns, and you call the police, and I'm sure they talk to them, but I still see the cars parked on the lawns again. So I think that's horrible.
Well, that's a regular violation of.
Yeah, I know.
That could be
That's
the
in
issue.
there now.
That should be the issue. That should
Well,
be the issue.
Well, if
it's in there for front lawns.
If it's on the
only.
side.
Yeah,
It's not for
No, I
rear
know,
lawns,
but-
right.
No, he was just mentioning front lawn. He was just-
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree, there's always, and this came up before in the past about vehicles parking, because I think we went through this once before with trailers and things of that nature, and people it was very difficult and very testy about people who had these extra vehicles and want to have them available. You know, the property is the property, it's not, you know, they can't buy a new house, so. But on the other hand, then you have the aesthetics where somebody else is living next door, doesn't want to see a gigantic trailer in the backyard or the side yard blocking their view and blocking the sun or whatever it is, so. Input from the residents, I think, is really key.
Okay.
But Sue, I really would put this on like next time, once you give it a month, is that fair enough, guys?
I put January.
That's fine.
I heard.
Because I know Sue is very, very good at putting things right on that agenda.
She is. She is. Gives me an hour worth of work just looking at it each time. Luke Oil diesel fuel update.
I
Well,
think-
they're not serving any diesel fuel, they're locked, those, that they can. The signs have, obviously had to be taken down. They did not get permits for any of the soil they moved around or removed, whatever they did. So if they want to do anything, they have to come back to the board and do so.
And the code enforcement official issued a letter to them.
You have the letter in your package.
Were new tanks put in?
What's that?
Were new tanks put in there?
We're doing tanks? Yeah. There was soil movement, apparently.
Right.
Supposedly, this is all hearsay.
Yeah.
Supposedly, they put a mixer in, okay, they didn't change any tanks, so that the high test can become diesel. If they put something, now, this is just what I heard, so I have no
I don't
idea.
know anything about that, so.
No.
Well, there was an active construction site there for a few days.
They had backhoes in there.
You drive past something in town, you just assume they have a permit,
Right.
So,
The code
I'm
enforcement
sorry.
official, the code enforcement official issued a letter to them that they have to go before the board.
Are we
And-
actually saying that the work that they did there, they didn't have a permit for?
Yes.
They did not have a permit.
Permits, but not so much for the soil. Bride's got a stack like this of permits. But they might have done the soil moving permit. We don't, in the last few months, have seen it come through.
Bob, it's not the first time that people have done things without permits. They found that.
But you know what, it kind of leaves me speechless, to be honest with you. I mean, I saw them doing all this work, and then next thing you know, they have all new tanks, and I would have to assume,
Well, you would hope, just like.
you would
we-
hope, I mean, so
Well,
this is what I don't understand, then, who goes and says, hey, guys, I saw you removing soil, where's your, who checks on this then? Who goes in there and says, let me see all your permits, you're removing soil, you're moving soil, who does that?
Well, could be the code enforcement official, could be the construction official. It's usually brought to the attention of somebody in town. We get calls all the time.
Usually neighbors call up,
Unless you have a Gestapo state where you have people running around knowing every site and looking at everybody's property, which you don't have the money for or the personnel for, most of the time you rely upon the residents saying, hey, he has just put up a fence, he shouldn't have put up a fence. They call the town, goes to Mary Ann, she goes to the code enforcement official. You generally, unless you're gonna fund it, don't have somebody riding around town looking at every single site and every single property every couple days. I mean, it's just.
I guess I understand that, but we're talking everybody that's in this municipal building passes that thing every day?
No, actually, Bob, I asked the construction code official, he comes from the back way, so he never even sees that site.
Well,
Tell them to vary his route.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not his job to be
I know,
checking
I-
for permits in the window, and he wouldn't have seen that there was no soil movement, because that comes out of Sue's office. He actually has no involvement in that.
Right.
you what?
We don't have anything to put in the window as of this point. So even if they did get something from me, you wouldn't see it on a sticker. We can change that, though.
You don't have
Something-
that? Or they just have just a sheet of
I
paper?
Just
don't know, I think a major job like that, and a major construction job for a gas station, which obviously, I think one of our wells are there too, no? In that area?
In the street.
Because that used to be a well by the mobile station,
Yeah,
right?
but not on the station itself.
Okay,
In
but
the
right
street,
there,
in the street,
so
in the street.
I would
But
just,
that's done by the environmental things, I mean, say our.
no, I'm just, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the wells.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that a job like that gets done and we're missing permits, so, anyway. Okay. So there's no closed session, so I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight.
So move.
Right.
Second.
I think you beat Mike.
Happy
Councilman Del Mar?
Mike?
That's my goal.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes.
Thank
We
you.
didn't have that special award. We
Mike's
didn't-